England has finally broken through and won an Ashes test in Australia for the first time in almost 15 years. It all happened in a chaotic 2 days here at the MCG. And while there were some low scores across the board for Australia, England has some unlikely standouts. Let's kick it off with Marnus Labuschagne. He gets a 2 in what's becoming a lean and frustrating tour. He made scores of 6 and 8. He was dismissed the same way twice, caught by Root in the slips off the bowling of Josh Tongue. The England quick's angle into the right hand has really stumped him, and Labuschagne's century drought, dating back to 2023, continues despite the excellent form he came into the summer with. It's a 2 as well for Jake Weatherald. The opener missed out twice in this match, caught behind off Tongue for 10 in the first innings, and then done for 5 by Ben Stokes in the second. His 146 runs at just over 20 isn't the output selectors were hoping for, and the openers haven't fired together enough times in the series. Another batter under some pressure, Cam Green gets a 3. 2 more frustrating dismissals after making 2 starts have left Green's place in the side under some heat. He reached 17 in the first dig and was on his way to turning the ship around before he bizarrely ran himself out, trying to scamper through for a single that was just never there. Then he slashed at a ball from Stokes on 19 in the second. He also sent down just 5 deliveries for the match. You can put Usman Khawaja in the same boat. He gets a 4 this game. He played an awful shot to fall for a second ball duck in the second innings. He was caught at third man trying to hook a bouncer from the flying Tongue. He was the top scorer among recognised batters with 29 in the first innings, and while he looks more likely than unlikely to hold his spot for Sydney now, his second innings effort won't guarantee him a game. Jhye Richardson's back in the test side. He gets a 5. The WA paceman returned to the team for the first time in 4 years. He bowled a neat spell without setting the world alight in the first innings, and his first 3 overs went for just 2 runs. He then took 2 wickets in the second, including a good ball to trap Joe Root LBW. Steve Smith even praised his work running up into the wind, which he doesn't normally have to do. Speaking of Smith, the skipper gets a 5. He pulled all the right strings in the field and he reached 24 in the second innings before running out of partners. There's been pretty heavy scrutiny on a passage of play where he took singles off the first ball of 3 consecutive overs while batting with Richardson, who then was dismissed, of course. In a moment where every run was worth its weight in gold, that was very unusual for him. He was dismissed by Tongue for the 3rd time in Test cricket and 5th time across formats for 9 in the first innings, and he was bowled through the gate, which is a rare sight. Travis Head gets a 6. He really battled on the first morning with the ball jumping around off the deck, and he was out for 12. He just needed more support from the middle order in the second innings as he made 46 off 67. He got a great ball from Brydon Carse he even laughed at on his way off, but really it was a missed opportunity to help post a big total. It's a 6 for Alex Carey. He's having a standout summer. He made a score of 20 in somewhat of a middle order revival on the first day before missing out with 4 in the second. But he is still changing games with the gloves in what is one of the great wicket-keeping series of all time. On that tough track with huge seam movement, he threw England batters off by standing up to the stumps to Neser and Scott Boland. Him being there made England rethink their scoring zones in the chase, given they couldn't come down the wicket. Boland gets a 6. The MCG's favourite son since the late great Shane Warne had the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand, particularly when he stepped out as night watchman and braved an over at the end of day 1. But before that, he'd already taken 3 for 30 from 9 overs in England's first dig, and then later made a couple of inroads into their order in the run chase. His record here is just outstanding. There's a few 6s here. Mitchell Starc gets one as well. Just the thought of facing Starc on that wicket must be absolutely terrifying, particularly with the stronghold he's got over England's top order at the moment. He removed both openers for his 2-fer in the first innings and Duckett again in the second, but the batters did actually get after him in the run chase. A 6-2 for Michael Neser. When the match was on the line in the first innings, he kept Australia in the hunt with the bat, scoring 35 in a crucial 50-run stand with Cam Green. Then he took 4 for 45, including the wickets of Jacob Bethell, Joe Root and Stokes. He was the best player on the ground by stumps on day 1, but he was actually their only wicketless bowler and went almost 7 and over in the second. Jumping over to England, and their bottom scorer is Will Jacks with a 1. He was barely required in the match as not a single over of spin was bowled by either side. He made 5 off 10 with the bat. He was well beaten and caught behind by Boland, and then he wasn't required either in the run chase, so a quiet game for him. It's another lean match for England champ Joe Root. He gets a 3. It's been pretty lean either side of his century in Brisbane. He made a 15-ball duck on day 1, which is the longest scoreless innings of his career, and then 15 off 38 in the second. A 4 this time for Jamie Smith. His wicket-keeping was better in this match and he snared some really nice takes across the 2 days, but he missed out with the bat in the first innings, bowled by Boland for 2 off 3, albeit with a pretty tough ball to keep out, and he was out there unbeaten at the end when they scored the winning runs. Brydon Carse gets a 5. The big quick bowled an awful opening spell that should have ended sooner than it did on the first morning. His radar was well off and he kept flinging them down the leg side. But he did bowl a far better spell in the second innings, taking 4 for 34 off 11 and ripping through Head and Carey. His 1 innings on, 1 innings off is becoming a bit of a trend this series. They'll hope he can turn around in Sydney. Ben Duckett finishes with a 6. His tough week appeared set to plunge into horror when he screwed a leading edge to mid-wicket for just 2 on the opening day, but he ended up a hero in the second innings, hitting his first ball for 4 and roaring to 34 off 26 and setting the foundation for the run chase. His opening partner, Zak Crawley, gets a 6 as well. Similar to Duckett, Crawley missed out in the first dig. He was caught at third slip off serial nemesis Starc for 5 off 14 balls, but he actually steered the ship in the run chase, helping his partner set it all up and then navigating the chaos around Carse's hitman knock at number 3. He made 37 off 48 balls. The skipper, Ben Stokes, gets a 6. It was a bit of an odd test for Stokes, really, who finally claimed his first victory in Australia after 4 Ashes tours here. He was too slow to use himself with the ball in the first innings and took the important wicket of Alex Carey, but then took 3 scalps in the second when he became effectively the third seamer. His 16 with the bat on day 1 ended up being their 3rd top score, although he did miss out in the chase. Gus Atkinson lands a 6 as well. He bowled a really impressive opening spell on the first morning where he dismissed Travis Head and then later Usman Khawaja. He made good use of the new ball after being recalled to replace Jofra Archer, and he took 3 wickets for the match, but he does look set to be ruled out of the series after pulling up with a hamstring issue after bowling just 5 overs in the second. A 7 for Harry Brook. What a wild test. The MCG was left stunned when he danced down the wicket at Starc in the first innings off his very first ball, but his mad approach ended up being the right one. He raced a 41 from just 36 balls, including carving the big left armour over mid-off for a massive 6, and then he was unbeaten at the end to nurse home the run chase. What we know about Bazball is that it comes off once in every few attempts, and this was the first one of the series where it really paid dividends. A 7-2 for Jacob Bethell. There was craziness, but there was also some beautiful strokes in his second innings 40, which was England's top scorer in the run chase. He played a couple of stunning drives, but also pulled out his ramps and scoops at the right time with the wicketkeeper up to the stumps. After copping a ripping ball from Neser first up, it was a pretty impressive response in his first test of the summer. And England's top scorer and the man in the match is Josh Tongue. He lands an 8. He's gone from being England's backup quick to one of their most impressive players in just over a week. He took 5 for 45 as part of a searing spell in the first innings and 2 for 44 in the second. Players talk about Tongue's ability to get his arm past the perpendicular, which means he can rip them back in towards the right-handers and makes life very difficult. He broke the game open on the first morning, dismissing Weatherald, Labuschagne and Steve Smith. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments. There's a podcast episode up from the MCG on our YouTube and podcast channels as well. All our cricket coverage is on the west.com.au and in the paper, and we'll be back after the Sydney Test.